Hey there, Dragon Folk. Welcome on in to another episode of I Talk at a Camera, and you give me your opinion in the comment section below. So, today I wanted to talk about some news that happened. Also, don't mind Diablo. He's just doing his business. Diablo. He's cute. I love him. Anyway, so TCGPlayer has just recently acquired Channel Fireball and Binder POS. So at least they're going into talks about it. I think it's going to happen, which means that Channel Fireball will no longer be, and it looks like it will all just merge together. I think the idea is to, of course, bring more and more revenue towards TCGPlayer. They are definitely the top dog, other than like eBay, for selling cards and having a card database. Their platform is sleek and makes sense. And their customer support is probably a lot better. I don't know. I haven't done anything with Channel Fireball, but I've heard bad things about Channel Fireball support, and I've heard bad things about TCGPlayer support. So it's all kind of up in the air. Yeah. So that's a kind of cool little thing. I guess they're doing it just to kind of, obviously business reasons, right? They gotta, expand themselves out there, and if they end up taking on all of Channel Fireball's inventory as well as all this other stuff, it'll end up working out for them. They'll be able to increase their sales, and it'll just work out. It'll be better for them. I've always liked TCGPlayer a lot. I know some people have been burned by TCGPlayer, but I know TCGPlayer does pretty good to make it right. So I like them. I've been selling on there for like 2 years now, roughly. Yeah, about 2 years. So I've always enjoyed them, hoping to get onto the direct program sometime soon. We're also making a set of videos. I can put the first one right over here, kind of giving you an idea of how to start selling cards on TCGPlayer. So if that is something you are interested in, please feel free to check it out. Now, on to our next bit of news. Something that I know, I want to say MTG Moxman made a video on recently, and something that I've looked into beforehand, because this tends to happen when new product comes out, especially something like Double Masters 2022. So, of course, the world is hyped for Double Masters. They're, losing their minds. They're textured foiled this and Eldrazi that and Imperial Seal this, and it's so much. A lot of people are having a lot of fun. The set is flying off the shelves. I think the singles are still dropping, of course, as they normally would, but the box prices are staying pretty flat. I did see a drop in box price to about $259 at its lowest at one point, and I was getting real hopeful that it was going to hit 250, but I persevered, and it turns out it's gone up, back up to right around that 260, 280 mark. So, obviously still in the same range. If you like the set, definitely pick it up. If you want to collect the set, you should. Although I'm still imagining there's going to be another wave of this stuff sold through Amazon at some point, but that's just me. I mean, Amazon has done a lot of stuff in a way that has, they push out a lot of product for Wizards, and then, they Wizards will hold back the product for LGSs, and then once everybody's starving for more, they go, "Oh, here's your little crumb. Here's a crumb more of what you want. There you go. You can have it." And that's it. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully Wizards doesn't keep, circle jerking LGSs and making it it's not even a good terminology. Hopefully they just stop dicking around and actually like care about the LGSs. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of like love and support for LGSs in a very long time. More specifically in the past like year and a half, 2 years. I haven't seen a lot of like love from a business perspective. Really, I guess ever since they started doing Amazon stuff. I think it was maybe like a year ago ish. I can't remember the day. But with Double Masters 2022 being such a hot thing right now, we do also have to think about the stuff that is also valuable on the market. So I am just going to kind of give you guys an update with some stuff. I don't have any real specific cards, but I do have a couple that I've looked at, and personally, I think it's a great way to start. If you haven't seen the video that I've done on the Dark, the Dark is a old set from 1994, one of the Four Horsemen sets. It was printed a lot more than some of the other Four Horsemen sets, but it's been printed significantly less than any of the sets we see today, any of the sets you've seen in Modern. It's been printed significantly less. And the reason I want to talk about the Dark is because while I'm collecting the Dark, right, I always want to look at the prices of the high cost cards, right? The Dark is part of the Four Horsemen, and it's part of the reserved list sets. So quick rundown, I'll make a whole video on the reserved list, but the reserved list, all that is just cards that will never be reprinted again in Magic's history. As long as this contract stays as needed, and Wizards doesn't wake up one morning and decide to blow the fuse, we should have reserve list cards and have that list stay as it is for the time being, for the future, right? So there are cards in the Dark that will not be reprinted, and some cards have gone through some buyouts. Some cards have been ignored from the public because they're just not great cards. There's a lot of things, but at the end of the day, they are historical pieces. This is the beginning of Magic's life in the Dark. Other than Alpha, Beta, if we don't look at Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, the Four Horsemen are the next expansion sets, right? And those are important in the continual growth of the game since its release in 93. So really what I'm saying here is that you should look at stuff from the Dark. Okay, so for instance, the Dark, right? So for those of you who don't know, the Four Horsemen sets are Arabian Nights, Legends, Antiquities, and the Dark, right? Those are the four. So the Dark, of course, being the lesser of the four, still a very, very powerful set, a very sought-after set, and of course, still on the reserved list. So I'm going to show you 4 reserved list cards from the Dark that have actually gone and spiked and then dropped significantly due to, some of them have been due to buyouts, some of them have been due to just the general popularity of reserve list cards. But most of the time when there's a big spike in buying, such as here with Psychic Allergy, right? Here, the average was $49 for the card. And the reason that is because right around this time in roughly, May-ish of this year, so what, 2 months ago, right? Yeah, 2 months ago, there was a buyout, and the card prices skyrocketed, right? They skyrocketed entirely and brought this card down, from, what was it, $11 all the way up into the almost $50 range. Now, that's what a buyout can do. Obviously, if everybody is just waiting for a buyout, I don't know if there's some kind of secret group out there that waits and waits and waits and then finally just strikes Wall Street Bets did with GameStop or whatever. But this is an important thing to look at because as the release of Double Masters 2022 comes out, you'll see that this price drops significantly. It looks like right around now, we are sitting at about $20 on average for the card. And if we bring it up on TCGPlayer and we look at that for roughly we want to look for near mint, right? Near mint. So you'll see the near mint, I guess this graph must be wrong. So it says it about averages out, but I think that's due to several different, releases and so on and so forth. But regardless, even still, you're looking at near mint $36 on or $31 in TCGPlayer, right? Roughly about 34-ish. And it's not $11, but it has gone up, right? This is really the graph that we're kind of trying to look at as far as near mint stuff. But the market price does not reflect the actual price of the card. And the reason that is because obviously there was a buyout, right? But Psychic Allergy, a reserved list card, right? Now, it's not $50, which means it's still pretty affordable as far as you're going to get one, right? Obviously, you can keep buying them. With there having just been a buyout, there are a lot of people who are probably going to end up having, what do they call that? Paper hands. And they're not going to want to hold on to these for so long. They're going to see this price that they let's say they bought right around like $30, and it brought up to $50, and now it's significantly going back down. They're probably not going to keep it, especially if they don't know what they're doing or what they have. So due to that, it's an issue on that front. But at the end of the day, there is an increase in price, but not significantly. Obviously, still $36 as far as a reserve list card is still pretty good for most collectors. I am obviously collecting the dark, so I want to start, I need to pick up a Psychic Allergy. And I'd like to pick it up now before people try to buy it out again. And then there is another spike. Obviously, the plan is to never sell it, but I'd like to have it regardless. Again, these are pieces of history, right? Pieces of history. The next card we're going to look at, Preacher, right? So Preacher is another card from the dark. Look at that. It's marketed at $84.84 right now. Let's go see what TCGPlayer has as far as this card. Moderately played, right? You can also buy moderately played reserve list cards, and it's going to be fine. People want near mints for collections and for grading purposes, possibly, but it's hard for you to find like a near mint version of a reserve list card that'll go for like a PSA 10. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult. But you'll see here, right, the market value $84.84 on this thing, but currently selling for $64 in some places. Now, this is something I wouldn't exactly trust a whole lot. 76 sales and 0% feedback. I maybe wouldn't buy from this seller, but this seller I might be able to buy from. But theoretically, when you're buying stuff from TCGPlayer and it's something like a reserve list card, I would absolutely go with the TCG Direct seller instead. Strictly because you get that reassurance that your card is going to actually be of its true condition and not something else. So Preacher, if we sell it down here, right, obviously there's a few low ballers here. People probably just trying to get rid of cards. But you have the people down here who are TCGPlayer sellers who know what they have. They're selling it for about $77. Still about $10, almost like, $8 less than what market price says it would be at. And it looks like it's falling pretty well there. So something to keep your eye on. It's an interesting card, right? Gain control of one of opponent's creatures. Opponent chooses which target creature you control. If Preacher becomes untapped, you lose control of this creature. You may choose not to untap Preacher as normal during your untap phase. You also lose control of the creature if Preacher leaves play or at the end of the game. So, pretty interesting concept. You essentially just get to steal a creature. It's much like Mind Flayer in blue, but it is, it is a tap-untap situation as opposed to it leaves the battlefield. But Preacher, another very sought-after card from the dark. And its price point, like I said, it looks like it's fluctuated since October 2020. It's gone up. And then right around April of 2021, it spiked at about... It looks like the market average was almost $100 for this card. And really nearing up there. I'm imagining some kind of buyout issued or something was going on throughout this time. But now you'll see it's definitely gone down. There was even a point right here where it was going lower than what their average market price was. And now it's dropped and kind of leveled itself out a little bit to right around that 84. $70-$80 mark. So definitely very, very, this is also USD for the record. Very, very good. Very much so. Something to look after, right? Obviously, if you're collecting the dark, this is something to pick up now. I feel like the prices very well could go lower, but when it's evened out like this, right, at this point, you're waiting for another spike or you're waiting for another drop. And I would rather buy now and then get the spike than wait anymore and hope for a drop. You know what I mean? So, totally how that works. Now, these next two I actually purchased, and obviously you can see them up here. These next two I just purchased. Instead of buying a Double Masters 2022 collector box, like I really wanted to do, I instead purchased these two cards, Goblin Wizard and City of Shadows. So, Goblin Wizard, of course, right, not only is it a very fantastic goblin creature, right, but it's one of the most expensive cards from the dark currently. One of the top 5. And, of course, moderately played, you can buy them for like $60. But you'll see that they were sitting at like 148 market price, dropped to $121 market price, 119 market price. So it's almost $20 off of that thing. So let's see what they're actually going near mint. $100, right? $100. You can get a Goblin Wizard for $100 right now on TCGPlayer. Again, right, you might want to stick with this stuff, but even still, 101, right? 108 even. These are low prices for this. You know, this again had a price spike. I'm sure this is not like accurate, like super accurate stuff. There's a lot that goes into these graphs that are like not like, they're more like phenomena than they are actual like well done curves. It's like some person puts up a Goblin Wizard for $470 and it skews this graph. But for the most part, it evens out after a while. And you can kind of see that from March 2021 all the way until now, it's kind of evens itself out. So not only is it at a market price of $119, but now its average price is $108. So it is going for significantly less than its market price, just like the Double Masters 2022 cards right now. So again, a very powerful goblin, right? If you don't know what it does, you can tap it to take a goblin from your hand and put it directly into play. Treat the goblin as if it were just summoned. And then if you pay a red, it gains protection from white until end of turn. So, powerful goblin. And, of course, like, the art's great. Just everything about it is great. It's a fantastic card. Reserved list, again, something to look into. I cannot say enough good things about the dark. So, if it sounds like I'm just fanboying over the dark, it's because I am. Because why wouldn't you, right? So, again, another fantastic starter point for those of you who are trying to get into the dark or any of the ABU stuff. Personally, if I had more money, I'd probably be looking to stuff like Legends. And then if I had even more money, I'd look into stuff like Arabian Nights. But for the most part, I wanted to collect the entirety of the dark because I love the set and I love the flavor. And I have pretty much all the commons and uncommons. I just need to go through the rares now. So, 108 for a Goblin Wizard, great. So now we're going to look at City of Shadows, right? One of the lands that come from the dark, right? Probably the most sought-after land in the dark. I want to say this went through a buyout at some point, if I recall correctly, right here, right around here. Average was about $224. I do remember hearing about this along with the infamous Soldevi excavations. Thank you so much, Moxman, for providing some data on that. But essentially, this is the most expensive card in the dark right now. And at near mint, you're looking at about an average of $129.50. I think it's a little bit more than that if I recall correctly, but its market value is just under $200. And that's not something to be discounted. Because obviously, you can see it's hit a little bit of a trend here, right? It is going down a little bit, but not a significant amount. It's mainly just something to kind of like peak itself under. So you'll see moderately played, you can still get them for like $70. So it's a pretty solid deal. And then you have near mint. Look at that. Yeah. $129. 129, 138, 149, all of these things. There's literally 5 listings right here, 3 of them from TCGPlayer direct sellers that are available for under $174 a piece, right? And that is huge. That is a huge deal. Definitely very much so a pickup, right? I wanted to start by at least collecting 1 of each card from the dark, and now knowing that I own 2 of the more expensive cards from the dark, it's certainly going to make collecting the rest of them very much so easy, especially since they're at this price drop. So this is just a small little thing I wanted to kind of go over and give you guys an example of, because I know that having your eyes on something like Double Masters 2022, obviously it's new, it's shiny, it's a bunch of reprints that everybody wants, and that's awesome. But as far as anybody looking to invest into Magic, I would definitely suggest either buy the boxes and keep them sealed if that's really what you want to get into. If you want to try and get collector boxes before they run out or something of the sort, or turn your eyes 30 years back to the reserve list stuff, right? It doesn't even have to be 30 years. You can look at stuff like Urza's Destiny. You can look at stuff like, Tempest, Ice Age, Mirage. You can look at those things. Those are significantly cheaper reserve list cards, and a bit more affordable for those of you who are trying to get into the game. But that is a great way to start as well, is with those sets. There's a ton of reserve list stuff to get, and frankly, the more of that you start collecting, the more of a position you have. And if you have a very big position on stuff that is, impossible to find in the wild now, you have a great standing point, right? You will eventually be able to call the shots and tell people how much you'd like to sell these cards for. You'd be able to make those choices. So just keep an eye out, right? Obviously, be vigilant. Look towards the past and see what stuff is more affordable now that everybody's eyes are on Double Masters 2022. Thank you all so much for coming to my little discussion topic here. Obviously, it's important to have your eyes everywhere, and I know I'm just one person, so it's hard for me to keep track of every single card. I do go to, and this is not a sponsored thing, I do go to mtgstocks.com. I'll leave a link in the description below. That is where I got those graphs earlier, and that is where I normally find out what the prices of cards have been, checking trends, checking all that stuff. So it's an easier way. They have an entire list of all the reserve list cards, so it's easier for you to figure that out. But yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. I do really appreciate your support. If you did enjoy this content, please make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. We do also have a Patreon in the description. You can go ahead and find that link down there. I'm slowly but surely trying to grow that into something that is going to be a little bit more fun. And then, of course, looking at my previous videos, you'll notice that there is a surprise and a surprise giveaway for when we hit 1,000 subscribers to our patrons. So make sure to go ahead and sign up for that. We will also, I'll also make sure to put your name at the end of the video. So that's a fantastic little thing. But anywho, that's enough from me. So thank you all again. And please, 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 please make sure to make good choices and have a great rest of your day. And I will see you all in our next video. All right, everybody. Nerd out.